Hi, I'm Benjamin Faust, and I'm so excited to tell you that Keynesian theory on labor is changing due to the pandemic. It is so exciting that people are getting pay cuts. That sounds terrible. I know that sounds terrible. But in economics, when something changes what we saw to be happening before, or what the theory said before, it's very exciting to us. Let me explain why it may not be all bad news that we are actually getting people en masse getting pay cuts. Let's look at a basic supply and demand model of labor. I added L everywhere so you know that it's labor. Now, here's what's happening is because of the recession, there is a huge drop in demand, not in every sector, but in most sectors for labor. Things like if you're working in a supermarket, you're actually more in demand right now, but outside of certain sectors, there's less demand. So there's a fall in demand, a shift to the left in the demand for labor. Now, classical theory, a long time ago, had said, well, right here, we're at our market equilibrium, our equilibrium here. When there's a shift in demand downward to the left, it's going to go ahead and very easily the equilibrium will also follow and move and come down there. The problem is Keynes and others criticize this model because it wasn't working. What we have is a phenomenon called sticky wages. Sticky wages work like this. If it's sticky upward, that means the price doesn't want to move up. If it's sticky downward, it means the price doesn't want to move down. So wages have been thought to be and demonstrated to be traditionally sticky downward. Here's what happens. So when you get this downward shift in demand, so the demand shifts to the left, you end up with a artificial high wage. And what I mean by that is wages should be here, but instead of going there, wages stay at this level here, and they're not going here where they should be. The wage price should be going here, but they're not. It stays here, and what that does is that creates a surplus, okay? That creates a surplus of workers, and when we say a surplus of workers, what we mean is unemployment. Again, let me run through this. So there's a recession that happens, and traditionally this has been what we've seen until this one we're probably experiencing now. So demand shifts to the left, and you get, and yet you don't get adjustment of wages downward, you get wages at the same level, so people end up employed at this level here, people end up, the supply is here, but people only, the only hired amount is here, so you have this gap surplus. So this is some unhappy faces because people don't have jobs. This is why recessions, even though when they end it takes years for unemployment to return to normal, because we've got to reconcile this. What has to happen is demand has to shift back outward, and through attrition and new hirings coming in at a lower wage rate, we have to lower the wage rate, and so somehow we meet in the middle, and that takes years. That has been what's happened traditionally throughout a long period of time. But it's different now with the coronavirus pandemic. What we've seen is, we're probably seeing some of this, we're gonna get some unemployment, but we're seeing wages drop, which is very, very exciting in a good way, because if the alternative is you don't have a job, seeing wages drop is actually good. Now, we're not sure why this is. Let me back up. Why do sticky wages happen? Why do sticky wages happen in the first place? Because if you're an employer and you have to cut expenses, it's easier for you to just fire some of your employees rather than give everybody a pay cut. The reason for that is you probably want to keep your good employees and let your bad employees go, or let the underperformers go, or the ones that have been, with the company less time go, protect those who have been loyal and the more productive employees. That's why sticky wages happen. We think. We're still studying it. But in this instance, it's not happening the same way. We're seeing en masse a lot of workers having cut salaries. And there could be several reasons that's happening. One could be because it's a national public health emergency, employers feel more confident in saying, hey, we all need to pitch in and take some hit from this pandemic. And so rather than firing some of you, I'm going to lower everybody's salaries. And the people in general, even the top performing employees, may be more willing to accept that. At the same time, it could be because of the speed of things are happening. In a recession, you're going to have kind of a slow burn, like, okay, we're not doing well, let's cut some jobs. Oh, we're still not doing well, let's cut more jobs. Oh, we're still not doing well, let's cut more jobs. This is happening in a flash. What that means is managers are seeing a bigger picture of what's happening, and so they might say, you know what, this is a big deal. Since I see the whole picture of how bad it is, let me go ahead and lower wages and encourage people to accept the lower wages rather than firing people. And one more reason could be that it's told to the employees implicitly or explicitly, this is temporary. When this is all over, your wage rates will come back up. So I don't know why, but it's very exciting that what we're seeing is we're seeing some of this effect where we're getting unemployment. It's happening. It's the kind of event, this kind of shock is big enough we're going to see that anyway. But we are seeing some movement towards a market wage. We're seeing a lowering in the actual wage rates, which is very exciting, and it may change textbooks, it may change theory, or it may add to Keynesian theory that was already there and say, hey, we have sticky wages, but sometimes in something big like a global pandemic, this law, sticky wages, may not apply in the same way.